Here we go with top picks, and David Burrows will bring them to you now. Electronic Arts. You talked about GameStop. GameStop would sell a lot of their products, but different story here.
Yeah, so EA, first of all, they sell something that is not that expensive that people get hours and hours and hours of use out of. So there's a very good value proposition. EA has by far the strongest franchise in video games. They've got all of the big Madden football and FIFA soccer and so on. These are all games that people renew almost every year. Right now in the market's in the midst of a console transition to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Historically, the third year of that transition is the strongest year. We're headed into that year. The market is moving to an online sales model, so people are buying these games and upgrades digitally as opposed to going into a store, which means that EA gets a much better profit margin. Mm-hmm. The way the games work today is amazing. You know, you get into a game and you need a new tool, you want to buy a flamethrower, you pay whatever you pay. Of course, the cost is zero for EA because they're sending you pixels, basically.
Right.
So it's a highly profitable software business, in effect, with a very predictable revenue stream. So we think it's very attractive. They generate tons of cash. They'll generate close to $1 billion of cash in 2016. And one of the interesting things coming up is that they're going to release this new Star Wars game. They initially said they thought they'd sell 9 million copies. They've just recently updated that to maybe 11.5 million copies. You know, once you create it once and you sell it many times, it's all profit at some point, and EA's in a great spot.
A record high today for Electronic Arts. Goldman Sachs is a recommendation of yours, the big investment banker. How come?
Well, we've talked about JP Morgan in the past. We've talked about Bank of America and Citi. Goldman Sachs is the premier capital markets business in the world. They've got a great franchise globally. Mergers and acquisitions right now are coming at a very rapid pace. They're a big beneficiary there. Increased volatility is good for trading revenues, and we know that they're strong traders, and so the return on equity is growing. And the last thing is the regulatory or the legal environment is starting to get a little bit better because, I mean, how many more lawsuits can be thrown at these guys? So there should be less drag from that. If you think that the market can be good going forward, and we do, then Goldman Sachs is a great way to participate in that.
Good-looking chart the last while, for sure. And lastly, United Health Group, which is buying Catamaran, correct?
Yep, yeah. They are. So we spent a lot of time talking about biotech. We spent a lot of time talking about pharma. We spent a lot of time talking about health maintenance organizations. And United Health sells health plans. They're about the biggest in the U.S. There's a growing population of people over the age of 65 and, of course, over the age of 85 who are buyers of these plans. Obamacare has been supportive of insurance plans across the board. They've got great scale, and this is a business that is consolidating. So most recent quarter, they beat by 8%. We like to see, you hear me say that a lot, we like to own companies that are beating estimates because people have to reassess what they might be able to make.
Right.
And it's got close to a 2% dividend yield.
We'll wrap it up there. United Health, Goldman Sachs, and Electronic Arts. Top picks today of David Burrows. Always good to get your insight and your macro outlook as well.
Thanks for having me here, Mark.
Nice to see you. David Burrows, thanks to him. Thanks to you, as always, for your questions. And we'll see you tomorrow on Friday. Take care.